Does it feel like online dating is impossible and you have no clue how to make it work? Well, in just a moment, you're going to meet the man who makes online dating easy. Easy dating coach Mike Goldstein has been featured on The Today Show, NBC, Reader's Digest, Shape, and Elite Daily. And his results are nothing less than spectacular. He's responsible for 11 marriages and has put women on 6,000 dates. 83% of his clients enter a relationship. So how does he do it? The bond method. An easy system that takes all of the guesswork out of online dating so that you find a quality guy that you feel passionate about and love spending time with after only 6 to 8 dates. So if you are a mature, self-aware woman who is ready to make dating a high priority and do something for yourself, then you might just be Mike's next success story. Stay tuned. Welcome to YourBrilliance.com. I'm your host, Amy Waterman. How many of you feel like online dating is not just frustrating and confusing, but it's actually really quite lonely? You're sitting there on your own, trying to figure it all out yourself, and you don't know what you're doing wrong or why you're not getting messages back. And even worse, it can feel like the problem is you. You're usually strong and secure and independent and happy, but dating brings up all of these insecurities. All of these thoughts run through your head like, what I'm doing isn't working and it's because of me. I'm hopeless at this. I can't figure it out. And to be frank, it's quite embarrassing. Or I keep picking the wrong men. I'm just going to end up with another loser like my ex. How do I even know what a good man looks like? Or online dating is beyond frustrating. It doesn't work for women like me. It was designed for somebody a lot younger, a lot better at technology, and a lot better at taking selfies. And even worse, you can think, I'm just going to get rejected because I'm not the kind of woman men want. I have made all of these past mistakes. I have all of these blocks with men. There's something about me that dooms it with every single guy I like. No wonder 88% of women never meet someone online that they end up in a committed relationship with. Online dating just doesn't work for them. So let me ask you this. Would you like to be one of the 12% who beat the odds? Would you like to stop trying to do this all on your own? Would you like somebody to hold your hand, and not one of your girlfriends either, but an expert with exclusive insider information from Match.com, OkCupid, and eHarmony? Oh, and not another woman either, but a male expert who cares about you and wants to help you and has the track record to prove it. And best of all, this expert is going to show you the truth about you. The truth about what's blocking you from having a great relationship. Now, you may think that it's because of you, but actually that's not the issue at all. You're struggling because you don't have a strategy. And the bond method will hold your hand while telling you exactly what to do. No more trying to figure this out all on your own. Our guest for today, Mike Goldstein, is the creator of the bond method. He's responsible for over 6,000 dates and 11 marriages and counting. Welcome, Mike.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Mike, for coming onto the show. And thank you out there to everyone who's taken the time to watch right now. I invite you to stay until the end, especially if you feel like you're in the nearly 90% of women that online dating just does not work for, because Mike's going to be sharing with us how to make a few simple shifts that create amazing success online using his breakthrough strategies. Now, what he's about to share is based on hard data from the biggest online dating sites, and it represents such a major paradigm shift for most of us that you might very well experience an instant and positive shift in the way you view online dating, especially after learning about the strategies behind the success stories that Mike is about to share. But before we get into that, Mike, I want to ask you a personal question. Is it true that you used to be a soccer star?
Ooh, the word star is a little generous, but yes, I did play semi-pro soccer until I was 26, and then tragically tore my abdominal, and then the soccer career came to an end.
So what position did you play?
Ooh, I was center midfield, so I got to distribute the ball to everyone else and watch them score. That was fun.
So you used to play semi-pro soccer, but that's behind you now, and you now help women find love online. Could you share with us some of the stories of the people that you've helped?
Yeah, one of my favorite clients, Lydia. She's imagine a woman in her 60s. She owns her own veterinary practice. She's even been to South Africa to take care of the rhinos. So she felt like she was wildly intimidating men. And it was kind of showing up in how she showed up online and in her dates, in the sense that she was spending 2 to 3 hours a week trying to find men to date. And she only got 3 dates in the past year. But after working together, we made her realize that, yeah, she is up here and she does deserve love and she doesn't need to come down here. But in reality, she can meet a man up here. And that's exactly what we did. We found a man up here and now she's in a beautiful relationship.
So I really love that, because I think a lot of us women feel like we intimidate men. And sometimes it's not that we intimidate men. Sometimes it's that we behave in ways that keep men at arm's length, like we can't be vulnerable, or, we kind of are a bit standoffish. And so I want to know, of course, how you managed to turn that around for Lydia. But first, were there any other stories you wanted to share?
Another one of my absolute favorites is Isabella, in her 40s, and the sweetest woman you've ever met. But what she did was, with men, she was too trusting and let too much happen, let them take advantage of her. And so that ended up being in very unhealthy relationships. And she kept repeating that pattern over and over again. But she was ready for life partnership and she wanted to get married. So then we started working together. And I love this part of the story. I got invited to her wedding 2 years later. And I show up to her wedding. I'm in the receiving line. And I've never met her now husband. And once I get there, he just grabs me and gives me the biggest bear hug and says, "Mike, thank you for finding my wife."
So what I think about there is that we often think about online dating as women trying to find men to love. But what we don't always remember is that there are good men out there who feel like they're not getting picked. And one of the reasons they're not getting picked is because we as women don't always know how to spot the good ones. And that is something I am so pleased that you managed to help Isabella with. And I want to share quickly with our audience some pictures of Isabella and her husband and Mike at the wedding. And also we have a clip of Isabella and her husband Nick talking about how they found each other.
We are here in our little town. We moved here 2 years ago. We got married a year and a half ago, and a very special person helped us find each other.
That person's Mike Goldstein. I sought out Mike's services a few years ago when I wasn't meeting the right kind of person, and he helped me identify a good mate, someone that I could spend the rest of my life with, and that's today is part of the rest of my life. So we're just enjoying each other's company, and we owe a big thanks to Mike for helping us find each other. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, so congratulations, Isabella and Nick. So Mike, I want to hear more. Tell us more.
Yeah, one of my best students was Ella. She was a Fortune 500 executive that was freaking busy. Big job, but still, now in her mid-40s, she's like, I got to get on this whole dating thing, because she put that to the wayside because she did all career until mid-40s. She's like, whoa, I forgot to date. And so she really put the time in, and now she was doing an hour per day every single day. And she was getting about 1 to 2 dates a month before meeting me, with all that time being spent. Then we gave her a much more efficient strategy. And now she's got this amazing man. And she's always like gloating about him, that he cooks her dinner all the time and gives her foot massages, and she's in a very happy relationship.
So see, I think all of us professional career women need a man who every night makes us dinner and gives us foot massages and pampers us. I think that is just like the perfect thing. But I actually can really empathize with Ella in the sense that when you are super, super busy at work and you're putting in all that time to then come home and spend an hour every night working at online dating and get a couple dates a month out of it. It's just not worth it. So I'm really interested to find out how you managed to teach her to date in a lot less time than that. But first, was there anyone else that you wanted to share?
Yeah, I want to talk about Janice. Janice had some issues that she thought was affecting her. She was overweight. She had a young daughter, 5-year-old daughter, and she was also spending 10 hours a week trying to get dates. And she just felt like she had no option. She's like, because I have this 5-year-old daughter, no man wants to date me. And frankly, that just wasn't true. And so I talked to her. I'm like, if we get you that time back, those 10 hours, what are you going to do? She goes, you know what? I'm going to eat ice cream and I'm going to spend time with my daughter. And I'm like, I want you to spend that time with your daughter. Let's do this. So I ended up showing her my method, which requires an hour and a half per week of online dating, 30 minutes 3 times. And we got her an amazing man. And before we even got to that man, we gave her options. And she found out, wait a second, there's a lot of men that want to date someone with a 5-year-old.
Yes. So I love that story because I think so many of us women feel like there is something about us that men is going to reject. Like I was thinking about what you said about Lydia, where she felt her career was too intimidating. And so men weren't going to want her. We all have something about us, maybe it's we're too old or we don't look the right way or, our family situation was wrong. And so as a result, only a few men are going to like us. And so our options are limited. And I think it's absolutely wonderful that you have helped your clients see that who they are isn't limiting them. It's actually their strategy. And that's what the bond method is all about. But before we get into what it is, I want to know about the name. Like, did you learn this from James Bond or something?
Well, I learned it from my version of James Bond. I had an amazing soccer or football coach, in England they call it football, who was my James Bond. He drove the Silver Z3 that was literally from Goldstein, and somehow he always had beautiful women around him, and he was going on 2 to 3 dates a week. And so eventually I go to him and I'm like, how the heck are you doing this? And that's when I learned the bond method.
So what you're doing then is you're actually stealing men's secrets and teaching them to women so that we can kind of turn the tables on men.
That's absolutely correct. And once I started using it for women, I got 83% of clients into relationships. And eventually, after a number of years, it got me on the Today Show. And then once people saw how successful this was, Match, OkCupid, and eHarmony all gave me a ring and were like, how the heck are you getting so many people into relationships? And ever since then, I've been using their data to even optimize the process even further.
So what I really like about that is when I hear the bond method and I think about James Bond, I think this is a man who doesn't necessarily want a life partner. This is a guy who has, the beautiful woman on his arm every single week. And I don't think for many of us out there, not all of us certainly, but for many of us, we don't want to be like Jane Bond. What we want to be is like somebody who we want to have a life partner that can be a companion, that we can have fun with, that we can feel passionate about, that can be at our side in a real, true, genuine partnership. And am I right? That is what the bond method actually helps us do.
That's absolutely right. That's what it delivers. It delivers partnership. And I know you were saying 11 marriages, but we're actually up to 12 now. And so that's what this thing does deliver through his mechanism.
So I want to ask you though, is this for anyone? Like, surely you must have some hopeless cases that this doesn't really actually work for.
It is for everyone, and countless people go, oh, this must be because they look at me, this must be for 20 and 30-year-olds. That's not true. Over 40% of my clients are above 60. So there is no excuse. I've used this and I've tested it literally all over the world. I've had clients in Australia, Vietnam, England, France, the entire United States, at all ages, all ethnicities. This thing works, and it's been tested.
But really, like, there is no way this can work for everyone. Why don't you tell us about the very toughest case that you've ever used the bond method for?
Yeah, I had a 57-year-old woman named Laura. And Laura had everything going for her at 57. She had this amazing career doing market research where she interviewed doctors. And she was doing very well. However, out of nowhere, she got diagnosed with chronic laryngitis and lost her voice. And not only did she lose her voice, but she lost her job. And she lost something that most women have, which is the ability to go on a date and have a wonderful conversation to attract a man. And now she didn't have a job and she wasn't able to communicate on a date.
See, that is, you're absolutely right. I never even thought about that before, but when we go out on a date, right, that's what we do. We talk. So surely then there's nothing you could have done for her then, because if she can't go on a date and even talk to the guy, like, what could she possibly do then?
You know, when she reached out to me via email, I was very nervous to work with her. And when we ended up speaking, I was very candid that I was, nervous about our success rate. But I was upfront about that, and we went to work. And I wanted to work really hard for her. And so that's what we did together. We busted our butt. And about 9 months later, she was in an amazing relationship. So kudos to her for getting that done.
So what you taught her then was actually strategy, and strategy managed to solve that for her.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Laura thought and looked at herself and said, I'm undateable. But in reality, she was very dateable, just needed a good system on how to present the right men and put them in front of her.
So I really, really like that. But let's be honest, most women don't have it that hard, do they?
Yeah, I think that's right. Really, all I'm looking for out of my favorite clients is I just need them to make dating a really high priority so they're focused, and then be willing to do 1.5 hours of online dating a week and just go on one date per week.
And that is it. Okay, so I think we're ready. So how exactly does then the bond method work? Like, what are the bits and pieces that put it together?
Yeah, I mean, it's optimizing the whole online system with professional photos, with a professionally written profile, and then at a high level teaching a messaging system, which is 50-12-1. And so what that is we're going to send 50 messages. 12 men are going to respond saying they want to go on a date with my client. And then from 12, we're going to pick one. And then we're going to repeat this 6 to 8 times until we find someone you like. And then rock and roll, we're in business.
And this is something that, so is this something that someone can just do on their own? I mean, is this just kind of written out instructions, you follow them, boom?
No. We've tried that. We certainly have tried that. Unfortunately, it gets messed up. And the actual act of me kind of partnering and becoming a team with someone is vital, so that we actually share our screen on Zoom and we write the profile together. I help them with picture selection. I set them up with the right photographer, and I teach them the method. I show them how to respond to messages. I do it with them. It's not like, here's a video, here's a handout, good luck. It's like, no, I'm your teammate. We are on a journey together to help you fall in love, and I got your back, and we're going to do this as a team.
And so just to clarify too, this isn't about necessarily life coaching. This isn't about helping a woman feel more confident or, attract the love she desires or manifest love. This is actually mainly practical. It's just about what to do next.
Yeah, it's doing the work, Amy. We're going to get in there and do the work together, and we're going to start getting the result. Not hypothetically, this is how you get a man. No, we're going to do it.
So what I really like about that is that because you're focused on strategy, you're not trying to change anyone. You're not trying to tell a woman, well, you've got to dissolve all your blocks against men until you could be successful. You don't have to change who you are. All you have to do is start doing things differently. And I think that's what makes the Bond method fairly unique.
Yeah, I mean, that reminds me of Lydia. She was spending 2 to 3 hours a week doing online dating and only got 2 to 3 dates in a year. Or, 3 dates in a year. I mean, that's insane. But what she needed was just a partner to guide her and show her the strategy, so that's what we did.
So I have a question, though. How can strategy make the right guy appear? Because the thing is, even if you've got a great strategy, the same guys are still online. There's all those guys out there who are looking for hookups. There's guys out there who will message you but then never meet. There's guys out there who will go out on a date or two with you and then disappear. So how can this help us find the right man when, like I said, the same men are just out there?
We kind of need to treat this like a math or science experiment where we need to get our numbers up. And if we're going after 50 men, sure, we are expecting, 5 or 10 of them to just want hookups and another few to not be a fit. But once we have enough numbers where we go 50, then 12 want to go on a date, and then we pick one, and we repeat that enough time, then we get to the men that make sense for you.
How do you know that a man has potential, right? Because if we think about Isabella, she was attracting all of these men who took advantage of her who didn't treat her right. How do we manage to fix our picker, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I work with clients to build a list of what they truly need and get their top 5 things. And so then every decision on whether we go on a first date, and then when we come back from the first date, we go look at these 5 things and go, does this man have these things? And if he does, then we'll agree to a second date. If he doesn't, then we won't agree to the second date.
So you give them then a strategy for picking the right guys.
Absolutely. And we build it together as a team.
But am I right, though? Isn't online dating have an inbuilt bias towards younger women? We've seen this before, right? Men tend to search for women within that 20 to 25 age range. Plus, younger women are a lot better at technology than some of us older women. So what if you aren't one of these ideal younger people that does really well online?
I mean, you're just absolutely right in the sense that attractive women do have an advantage in terms of getting more messages. But frankly, I don't really care about any of that. I'm looking at my client who is exactly who she is, and I'm trying to find one man that fits perfectly for her. So all the men that are just choosing based on looks and not choosing based on the whole package, I don't care about any of them because that is not the man that is going to partner with my client. So those folks are just a waste of time for me, and we pinpoint the guy that's going to be her life partner, and that's all we care about. So many of my best clients are 50 years or older, and they come to me with these same concerns, like, how do I do the pictures? How do I handle this whole internet thing? And it's such a great partnership because they have that wisdom of being on the earth for a good amount of time. And I've grew up with the internet. So it's a great partnership. And then I set them up with professional photographers that literally are in a company that just do online dating profile pictures. And then I set them up with all the data and all the things that I want for those pictures. And then I actually team up with them, share my screen on Zoom, and I type out their profile with them. So we leave nothing to chance where it's like, hey, here's a handout, here's a video, good luck, go do it. It's not how I roll. We're going to team up, we're going to do everything together and make sure we get as close to perfect as we can.
The one thing, though, that surely not even strategy can erase is the fact that, some men aren't going to respond. Some men are going to ask you out on a date and never show up again. And all of that constant rejection is still really hard. And I can imagine that it might feel even harder if you are hustling and if you are sending out those 50 messages. It just feels like, doing more online dating just opens you up for more possibilities of being rejected.
When I was interacting with Janice, who, if you remember, was the single mom, 5-year-old daughter, was feeling like no man was out there for her, we proved that she was good to go. And what it was we sent the 50 and we got the 12 options for her. And since she had the 12 options, she wasn't worried about the 38 that didn't respond. She's just like, whoa, there's 12 options. And so once we repeat that over and over again, she's spending zero time thinking about the 38 that said no, but all about the 12 that keep saying yes, and then moving them through the funnel of going on a date, maybe a second date, and so on.
Okay, so if I understand this correctly then, so the bond method is about this 50-12-1 strategy, and you only have to spend 30 minutes 3 times a week rather than like an hour a day. And so it's a lot more efficient. And it's also a lot less stressful because instead of trying to have to figure out everything on your own, you've got you, Mike, who's a cheerleader at somebody's side, helping them through all that. And I could definitely see how that would make online dating a lot easier, first of all, a lot more successful, and even, a lot more enjoyable. Like, I think about back when I was on online dating, I didn't have a coach. I'm sure I spent a lot of time that I didn't have to spend. And I think about, in fact, talking about Janice, I think about what you said about, she had said that if she could have that time she spent online dating back, she would eat more ice cream and spend more time with her daughter. And I totally think that would be my motto. I should book you for a refresher course.
Oh, thanks, Amy. But be quick. I only have a few slots left.
So if anyone watching this thinks that they would benefit from the bond method, what is the best way they can get in contact with you?
I am so glad you asked that, because my life's passion is helping women, helping men, everyone fall in love. So please get in touch with me. The folks that have the most success in my program are the ones that are willing to invest time and finances in themselves, and most importantly, are willing to say dating is their top priority at this moment. So if you've got that, come chat with me. There's no reason to be doing this alone. And if you've become proficient in whatever career you have, that's what I've done here. I've spent the time and the hours, countless hours. So instead of you spending countless hours hitting your head against the wall trying to figure this out, I've already figured it out. So come chat with me. This is all I do every day, and I want to be your team member. I want the entire world that wants it to fall in love. So come let me help you. And hopefully I'll get to come to your wedding one day, or if you're just into a life partnership, I'll get to meet your guy. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Fantastic. Now, for those of you watching, if you would like to schedule a free call with Mike and to talk to him about whether the bond method might be right for you, all you have to do is go to this link. Go to yourbrilliance.com/Mike, and we will get you set up with a free call with Mike to see if you are a good fit. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming onto the show, and I really appreciate you sharing this with us.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
And thank you out there for watching. Now, if you would like more interviews like these, subscribe to Your Brilliance TV here on YouTube, and then hop on over to yourbrilliance.com for more tips and insights on how you can live your most brilliant life. See you next time.